And welcome back to a special birthday Who Would Win for Seth Xenomon Official. Who asked the question, who won in a fight? The cast of Craig of the Creek versus the main cast, anyway, of Recess. So, look, I wrote down the minuses, the pluses, the advantages, the disadvantages all these teams have. And it comes down to this, in my opinion. You have the entire Recess cast, which consists of TJ, TJ, where are their names? I believe it's Allison or Amy or Abigail, something like that. Vince, who's the athlete. You have Gus. You have Mikey, who's the big guy, and then I forgot the name of the brains of the group, the nerd of the group. But she's very intelligent, smartest of the group. She's very skilled with a yo-yo. With Craig of the Creek, the problem immediately that follows with the Craig of the Creek versus the Recess cast fight, if they were to, for some reason, go into a brawl of any kind, is that if you're talking about the main cast, there's 6 members of the main group right there. 6 members for Recess. There's actually only 3 main cast members of Craig of the Creek. Now, there's a bunch of side characters, and I even allowed putting like a couple of them in there, but they're already at a numbers disadvantage unless you're just throwing in everyone. And if you're going to throw in all the really side supporting characters for Craig, well, then you got to throw in the Recess characters. So right out the gate, they got a numbers advantage. Now, what do the Craig of the Creek kids actually bring to the table? Well, it's not much, but you have a couple ringers on that team. You have Kelsey, who actually it's a PVC pipe sword, but she still has a weapon on call with her. Craig himself has a staff with a crystal that, in theory, if it had to be used in a fight, could bludgeon and stab someone. What's the other one? JP is the oldest of them, around 12, where all the Recess kids are actually only around 10 to 11. So they do have a couple age advantages. So physically speaking, the older you get, the more developed you get. Although Mikey looks to be even bigger than JP by a large margin. He's a big teddy bear and probably wouldn't get, in fact, him and JP would probably get along very well. But then to just throw maybe a ringer in there as well, I threw Paintball Mike in there, who plays like military, and because he's a paintballer, has paintball gun. And if you've ever been hit by a paintball, that shit hurts. So against some 10-year-olds, that's suppression fire right there, and he's probably got rounds and rounds for days, baby. But the Recess crew is not down and out by a long shot. Mikey is, and again, I can't remember her name exactly. What was the nerd girl's name? I say nerd. She's the book smart one of the group. What was her name? Hold on. She was Gretchen. There we go. Gretchen. And she is good with yo-yos, though. Unique talent. So maybe that could be, if you were to say do a death battle, hypothetically, you see them fight, she maybe it goes around the world and ties their feet together. But it really wouldn't mean anything for the fight. In fact, her and Mikey are probably not really doing much, which helps even this out in Craig of the Creek side of the fight. But Vince is the athlete, the jock. Again, it's it's Abigail, right? I wrote it down. I wrote down terribly. Ashley. It's Ashley. That's what it is. It's Ashley. Ashley is a skilled in pro wrestling moves, which makes her very much an actual physical threat to anyone on the Craig team. TJ is the brains of the group. He's a little schlubby in terms of his physicality, but he can be athletic, and he's very cunning when he wants to be. He's not book smart, he's street smart. And then Gus, while meek, actually has probably the best leadership skills of the group. It's been a long time since I watched it, but I had to reacquaint myself with their personalities. He was literally so dangerous at dodgeball, he was known as El Diablo. And even though he's meek, because he comes from a military family, he has great leadership skills, and he will stand up to bullies even if he's scared of them. He will not be pushed around, which actually makes him, little I'm remembering of the series made him, Gus and TJ, when I did watch the series, were 2 of my favorite characters. Because TJ is the lead, but Gus is the kind of kid I could have related to more. Someone, at least back in the day when I was more scared of people who were trying to pick up. Actually, look, I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just trying to remember. I don't recall actually ever being like scared or like meek or anything like that. I was more just like, I don't want to deal with people. I also didn't know how to handle people very well. I had emotional stability issues as a kid. I still rage out against like Magic Arena when I swear to God, that algorithm is out to get me on that game. I swear to God. I either get half the time either getting fucked over on my land or someone is top decking like a mother effer on that game. I'm not losing every time, but when a lot of times when I lose, it's simply because someone pulled a rabbit out of their ass, basically. Not their hat, their ass. I digress. So, yeah, but I can still relate to Gus, definitely. So, Gus, if basically they're in combat and the paintballs are flying, like, and let's say this whole fight takes place on the recess arena, maybe. That way they have access to the dodgeballs. Or an area like that's neutral for both of them where dodgeballs would be accessible. And basically they're pinned down by the paintballs. Like, we got nothing. We're going down. So, Gus! And they see the dodgeballs. And Gus is like, I can't do it. You got him, man. It's like, for us, for the team, for your friends, please, become El Diablo just one last time. And Gus sees it, and he sees them pinned down. Like, Gretchen's yo-yo's been destroyed. Mikey, who is a big tamer, is like, kind of like, he just gets the guns, he just goes like, and all of a sudden, like, paintball Mike's like, ha! These maggots they got nothing. What the? It's like, huh? It's like, it's like, unleash hack! He just starts, and they're just, boom, boom, take over! It's like, holy crap! And Mike is up, just, it's like, holy crap! And she like, what was the other one? Kelsey like has like maybe knocks one with her sword, but the sword gets knocked out of her hand. He's literally taking them all on. And everyone else, charge! Ashley gets in there, starts going all ham on them. What the recess kids lack in maybe some age and physical development comparatively, they make up for theoretically with numbers and actual skill sets. There's not a lot in terms of, and again, I don't watch Craig of the Creek. I've never watched Craig of the Creek. And I'm not going to start to watch an entire series just to do the occasional who would win. Or what if. Well, what if's different, but that's a different scenario entirely. From the little I can see, and especially as the way shows have changed over the years, I think the recess kids in an actual brawl probably have the better odds against them. Again, they have a numbers advantage. We're just talking about the main cast, even throwing a couple ringers from the side cast in there for Craig of the Creek. And a couple of them actually have abilities that would aid in straight out combat. Again, Gus is a dodgeball like monster. Actually knows pro wrestling moves, or at least is able to use wrestling effectively. Vince is an actual athlete, so he could easily sprint across the field or the line and get in between them, or get on the opponent's side of the field. So I would probably go the recess. Plus, they grew up in the 90s. And if you're a 90s kid, you're a little bit grungier. And I don't mean that in a music sense. I mean that in a mentality sense. You're a little bit dirty. You'll do a little bit more dirty tactics instead of. So you got to factor in time when they came out and mentality of those kids and the writing for that mentality. So I would probably go the recess kids. I would. I think the Craig of the Creek kids, though, would put up an okay fight. But ultimately, I think the recess kids have dealt with more overall. Plus, they got to deal with the freaking cannibalized kindergartners. Not actually cannibals, but like tribal kindergartners in that series. So there's that as well. But look, this is just my opinion. Who do you got? But happy birthday, Seth. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.